Well, hello all, and welcome to this latest webinar brought to you by the manufacturer. Today's session is entitled Unleashing the Power of AI-Guided Selling, a Revolution in Sales Excellence. I'm Tom St John, and I'm delighted to say that today I'll be joined by speakers from SalesEye and SugarCRM. With them, we're going to be exploring the dynamic landscape of AI-guided selling, and we're hoping to send you away with the knowledge to equip your sales teams. Gartner have predicted that 75% of B2B sales organizations will augment traditional sales playbooks. They say that AI-guided selling solutions will be the norm by 2025. That's quite a shift and a transformative one. I think the question is, will everybody be ready to embrace that? Today, industry experts Kevin McGirl, co-founder of SalesEye, and Tim Gale, EMEA Regional Sales Director at SugarCRM, will navigate you through the exciting realms of AI-guided selling, discover the driving forces behind the revolution, and understand why it's poised to be a game changer. There's plenty for us to learn today, like understanding how changes in buyer behaviors and the latest innovations in artificial intelligence are shaping the future of sales. We'll be diving into a new era of predictive sales where automation and AI work in tandem to revolutionize the performance of your sales teams. We'll also be exploring the tangible benefits, including the ability to spot changes in customer buying patterns, identify hidden revenue opportunities within your customer base, and really drastically reduce the time that it takes for new salespeople to become proficient, not just that, to become high performers. So if that sounds good, then there's plenty more where that came from. I'm going to hand over to Kevin and Tim now. After their presentation, you'll have the chance to put some of your questions to them.
Thanks, Tom, and thank you to the manufacturer and the team there for organising the event, and look forward to the next sort of 30 minutes of sharing some insights. I've been actually in the technology industry now for about 40 plus years, working with manufacturing distribution businesses. And I've only probably seen in that time two game changers, for salespeople in particular. The first really was mobile technology, and actually being able to. I used to be a rep on the road back in the 80s, carrying a bag of coins to actually call my customers or call the office, and this really was a massive game changer for me as a salesperson. And I believe, having seen this evolution moving very quickly, that AI guided selling is the next big revolution for salespeople. So that's a bit about me. You can see this is the first example of AI where I somehow managed to Photoshop out my wrinkles here, because they look pretty smooth there. But I'm now going to hand over to my partner in crime, Tim Gale from Sugar, to introduce himself.
Yeah, impressive. I just noticed that Kev actually looked younger than me on the slide there. But we all know reality. So yeah, hi there guys. Tim, Sugar, been at SugarCRM now for approaching 9 years. Spent a lot of time working with helping organizations in manufacturing distribution. So I've a reasonable amount of experience sort of talking to organizations. So I'm going to spend a couple of minutes just sort of setting the scene. First up, sort of talking to a little bit around how Sugar and SalesEye work together. Then we'll move on to effectively what are our customers saying, what are their demands, what are the analysts saying around what industry trends. So Sugar and SalesEye, it's sort of like a match made in heaven, so to speak. And what does CRM do? Well, many of you out there are quite possibly using CRM today. Many may not be using CRM, but effectively CRM is going to tell you what has happened. What was the last telephone call? What was said? What was the call to action? What was the last meeting? Clearly, it's going to be giving you sort of lead management, pipeline, revenue analytics, forecasting capabilities, marketing, customer service, all the great and the good that you need to deliver an exceptional customer experience. But where SalesEye supercharges CRM and in particular Sugar, because it's fully embedded, is it's going to start to guide sales reps on what they should be speaking to customers about, guiding them, helping them, enabling to have more productive, relevant conversations, so for example, if customers bought product A but not product B, so if they bought the fish but not the chips, or they bought the macaroni but not the cheese, and therefore, helping them, the sales reps, speak to customers and make those touch points relevant. Now, Kev will expand on this later, but trends are telling us more and more buyers are doing their buying offline. So when you do get a chance to speak to your customers, it needs to be, sort of customized. It needs to be on point. Furthermore, marketeers, by leveraging the data, and by the way, SalesEye effectively provides a window into your ERP within Sugar, so your customer buying behavior. So it will sort of help marketeers slice and dice data, segment, and again, serve up content and information that's relevant to customers to help them make those buying choices. So, for sales reps, it's guiding them using AI, machine learning to sort of, talk to customers about the right information. But it's also going to call out, maybe if sales are trending down, and being able to compare customers with similar types of customers. To enable sales reps to become more sort of proactive and ultimately have insights that maybe your competitors don't have. So you can see here that we work with a plethora of organizations across different industries. And why do they work with us? Well, they're looking for an intuitive sort of CRM and data analytics tool that's going to sort of help them make smarter, more informed decisions. So user adoption is fundamental. The ability to configure, customize the system around their particular processes is also another reason that a lot of these brands are choosing to work with us and SalesEye in collaboration. Certainly automating a lot of manual processes. So you'll see, and see what customers are actually saying to us, or talking to us about the industry and the challenges they're facing today, and what industry analysts are talking about. And that in particular is very much to do with how they can get more efficiency, or drive more efficiency, get more out of their sales reps by effectively doing less, and certainly by providing these sort of analytics, this data intelligence, putting it into the hand of the sales reps, the account managers, is key. So one of the big sort of standout items that we're hearing frequently now is the impact of shortage of labor. A lot of my manufacturing customers are saying that they're struggling to find sales reps. So, the sales reps they do have to manage larger territories, have to manage larger quotas. So giving them the data that means that they can make those, have those more informed, richer conversations with customers is key. And one example could be, Kev's already called out the mobile example. So if you're placing in their hands a mobile app that now can do quotes on the mobile app and the electronic signature on the mobile app, rather than historically maybe having to ring through to the office to get someone to build a quote, or wait until you get back in front of your computer and then do it and then send it out. You're able to do the quote, get it signed, use geo mapping, go on and see another 2 or 3 customers, and get more out of your day and have more relevant conversations. Furthermore, with Sugar and SalesEye, you can sort of print out visit reports, or more to the point, sort of customer profiles, where you can analyze the data, the buying sort of trends that this customer has or hasn't had, and what they should be looking at. So, based on previous year's performance. So again, it's sort of more informed. And that's why Gartner are telling us that companies in manufacturing tend to be investing heavily in business intelligence and analytics software. They have to identify the right technology. It has to integrate maybe into the ERP, into the MRP, and between the CRM. And that's certainly an area that SalesEye and Sugar certainly excel in. But also, a lot of manufacturers we're talking to are struggling with previous sort of purchase technology due to higher than expected costs, and obviously budgetary challenges due to deflation is proving a real pain point this year. But also some challenges around user adoption. And Deloitte were telling us that this year, manufacturers are expected to continue to face an economic uncertainty, and therefore, forward-thinking distribution companies, manufacturers, are returning to AI and are beginning to shift from prescriptive to predictive analytics. And it's certainly one way that companies can truly differentiate themselves from the competition and not get left behind. Kev, you got anything else you wish to add to this slide?
I think there's a lot of real headwinds here hitting manufacturing distribution right now, for those sort of macroeconomic scenarios, and obviously there's a lot going on in the world right now, which again could threaten the supply chain again. But also there's just the daily dramas. If you're in the manufacturing distribution business, you've got the daily drama anyway. Then you layer on top of it all of these other sort of major influences. So it's a tough industry, and it always has been and continues to be so. But I think we're going to argue really in the next sort of 30 minutes that technology can help, can give you that extra boost in what is a very, very challenging marketplace, and will continue to be so, I think, for some time. So we start every presentation typically with a quote. Everybody does. So let's go good one here. And this one actually is pretty self-explanatory. So what is this guided selling technology we're talking about here? And I think really the key word for me here is the guided piece. If you're making a weapon, the payload's going to be big, but you've got to test the guidance. And we're really about guiding the salesperson, giving them information they need to be effective. And as Tim said, they might be covering a much bigger territory right now. So how to prioritize my time? What do I talk about with my customers? So again, technology can help a salesperson. And in fact, we often use the phrase that can be the caddy. The same way I'm a golfer. My caddy says, hey, play a 5-iron, watch out for the bunker, green sloping. Technology can play the same role and guide a salesperson to the best conversation with their customer. We're going to talk about how the customer now is more resistant to a salesperson talking to them. So you've got to add value on every call. So that's really the topic of the day. Now there's tons of hype around this AI thing, and you're just reading it everywhere. There's AI for everything now. AI will do some great things. It's going to cure diseases, and it's going to help us with climate issues and all that stuff, because it can do calculations at the speeds humans can't even imagine. But there is a lot of hype here, guys. So we've got to try and boil that down to something that's very practical, something you can deliver immediately into your business. And I was around back in the tech bubble when every 20-year-old in California was getting funded by venture capital to sell a website with exotic Tibetan cheese or whatever. It was just a crazy time, and it's very similar now in this tech game with the AI stuff. So working with Sugar and Sales, we've got a lot of experience. We've been in this game for a long time, and we can deliver something that's very achievable, very practical, very quickly. So I would ignore some of the hype. But we've already hinted that salespeople need to evolve because things are changing. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of things out there that are really causing a need to evolve. Sales has evolved, but slowly. So I've been selling since 1981. I wasn't around in the 60s, along with some of my sales guys believe I was. But there's been some changes in methodologies, approaches, to selling. And typically selling used to be reactive. It did get a bit more proactive, and technology, CRM tools and analytics tools helped salesperson to be more proactive. But now, as Tim mentioned earlier, we've now got to evolve to the next level, which we've got to be able to in effect read the future, be in the right place, right time, having great conversations with customers. And we've got to be predictive, and be able to analyze fast enough to be predictive is a key challenge for salespeople. And particularly if you've got some lower tech individuals that perhaps wouldn't go and analyze data, or wouldn't go and look for information themselves. We've got to serve them and guide them. I think that's a critical part of this equation. Now things have changed out there, and this is some couple of quotes here which are identifying that buyers have changed. Buyers are now buying in a very different way to the previous methods where they spent a lot of time with salespeople, and they're increasingly now starting to go into what I call here stealth mode, educate themselves. They don't need a rep necessarily. They want to see a rep, and we're definitely seeing that buyers are behaving more like consumers do at home. They're doing much more research online. They're not necessarily going to call a rep or speak to a rep to get information. So that is a key factor there. We're also seeing that buyers are now prepared to make quite large purchases without seeing a rep. Now we might assume that that's small stuff. They're going to buy small stuff online, and they're not going to talk to our salesperson. But again, McKinsey did a survey and found that this is US data that 71% of buyers in B2B markets are happy to spend $50,000. That's 71% without seeing a salesperson. That's a pretty big ticket item. but 27% are spared to spend $500,000. That's 27%. So a quarter of your customers potentially would spend $500,000 without seeing the salesperson. They're prepared to self-serve, which is again a big change has occurred over the past couple of years. Now, because of this stealth mode and the fact they can self-serve, they're spending less time now with salespeople. So salespeople are less welcome than they used to be, and we're seeing here this is the time you've got in front of a salesperson. It could be beating salespeople could be 17% of a buyer's day. Now, if it's a competitive bid, you're talking to multiple salespeople, that could be 5%. So you've only got this very limited zone when you can be effective. So again, we're going to argue here that technology can help you be ready for that time you're in the game, which is now shorter, and it can make a big impact. I know I'm a Brit, as you probably have the accent, but I now live in Chicago, and I've been following American football for some time now, and they've got the kicker who only comes on the field to do one thing. Doesn't play the game, doesn't play the whole 80 minutes, just comes on and takes a kick occasionally. So it's a bit like a salesperson now. You've got to be able to take their kick and score on every call. You haven't got the time. You're not in the game as much as you used to be. So you've got to be highly effective when you are. Okay, so we track as a company now about 14 different sales personas. We haven't got time on this webinar today to cover every type of salesperson you might employ out there, but we're going to cover just 4 typical sales personas here, and talk about how AI might make a difference to their lives. And actually, I did an article, it was back in 23, actually, on making salespeople welcome again, because there was this trend where the salesperson wasn't now welcomed by the buyer. So again, you might have salespeople like this. Most people do. They've got at least be one person in your team that's the slightly more nerdy salesperson who actually does do a lot of analytics, spends a lot of time looking at spreadsheets, pulling reports, asking for reports from the IT guys. And Aberdeen Group, the research company, identified that reps are often spending up to 43 hours a month pulling data, looking for reports. And that's actually selling time that is now wasted doing a task actually that AI could do for them in a split second. So if you've got somebody in the team that actually likes being in front of a computer, we can put them back on the road again. Let's get them out there selling, because the technology can do all of that analytics for them in a heartbeat. Then you have the opposite salesperson, who's the personality rep. This is the more traditional salesperson who would go and talk about sports, the weather, was making social visits, isn't particularly going in adding value, but they're a nice guy, and customers like them, and they had good relationships. The new buyer, doesn't really like the social rep anymore. They don't want to spend time talking about fishing and sports. So this salesperson is finding it hard out there right now. But again, if we can give them the nuggets, the sound bites, so when I go and see the customer and say, "How's Mary and the kids? Did you see the game last night? And where are you buying components from? You've got buying them from me." I'm able to have a sales conversation that's driven by data with no effort. So this really does appeal, to the personality type salesperson. Now, Tim mentioned this earlier, and this is a big fact. Every customer I talk to is telling me they've got labor shortages in their sales teams. Young people, leaving university now, don't want to go into industrial sales. They want to be thought leaders, or social media commentators or whatever. So they don't want to go and sell auto parts or industrial components. That isn't an attractive career, to most young individuals. So people are finding that as salespeople are retiring, replacing them is becoming more and more difficult. So again, we're going to argue that you can ramp a new salesperson faster. So if you manage to recruit somebody, you haven't got the 6 months to a year you previously had to get them active and live, dangerous. We can ramp them much faster by giving them the technology, the answers, so they can be smarter, faster as they're ramping up their career with you. We're also seeing a lot of customers now who are now looking for more of a Navy SEAL type rep, whereas they're accepting they can have a smaller sales team. So rather than having a whole platoon of sellers, they're going to go for this highly skilled set of salespeople, probably pay them more, but make sure they've got the best training, the best technique, and the best technology. So the Navy SEALs aren't going to go out there with average technology. You've got to get the best stuff. So again, we're seeing customers now investing in some of the technology that Tim and myself have been talking about to make their salespeople more successful because they've got to cover more ground and be more effective faster. Now, this is the one piece I'll spend a little bit of time on here is, and this is again a lot of research going on right now about the psychology of salespeople. And most salespeople, because of all the factors that Tim talked about earlier and some of these dynamics with the buyer, are now feeling pretty burnt out. So your sales team may be just out there sleepwalking right now, going through the motions because they are literally psychologically fried. So again, if you give them the right technology, invest in them. When business gets tough, sometimes people don't invest. We're seeing a counter swing, in the US market where a lot of manufacturing distribution businesses are actually investing right now in technology, even though the market's tough, because they know they've got to give it a boost. You can either roll in the ball or go out fighting. And we're now saying people now are ramping up their investments, even in very traditional industries that were perhaps underinvested in the sales area, are now investing in sales tech. And this AI sales tech can let you jump a generation. So this will give your salespeople a boost. A couple of just one or two tips to share here. One of my biggest customers in the US is a company called Napa Auto Parts, and they've got about 2,000 reps out on the road. So a pretty diverse group of individuals out there. Again, they've just done a very small tweak to the sales approach, which is to say the sales guys who used to be driven by how many calls they made per day, to talk about, well, how many presentations have you done? And that makes them now use our technology to actually prepare their presentations. They won't go in and just tick a box for my boss saying I made a sales call. They're now going in more thoughtfully with some real value for the customer and using the data to drive a quality conversation. So the salesperson now feels more valuable, so that the buyer likes them more because they're delivering value. So now measured on what did you present, what did you talk about, and using technology to guide them and be their caddy on those sales calls. So if you've got salespeople, any of these camps here, again, we're going to argue that we can definitely help to raise the bar for them. Okay. Some real world scenarios here. So I've been talking theory, but let's talk about some real examples here. And these are customers of ours. I'm going to go through 2 or 3 of these. This first one is a marketing play. This is a customer that was doing a lot of marketing activity. They were taking their ERP data, pushing it into marketing, but they were really much shotgunning. They were sending the same campaign to everybody and expecting some results, and they got some pretty minor. They weren't really hitting any big numbers here. We then changed the game, and we now ran their same data through our technology, and they were doing the same marketing campaigns. We're now seeing a massive difference because the campaigns were now guided to the best fit customers, the sweet spot. So overall, in the first 60 days, it generated nearly $4 million worth of extra revenue. Their conversion of dormant accounts was significant. They converted more than 3,000 accounts that were previously dormant by hitting with timely, relevant personal offers that were high impact. Very high open rates. Again, those that do marketing know that these are pretty stellar opening rates, and click-throughs again were very, very high compared to the average. So again, this customer runs campaigns every single day now, but they're all sniper rifle rather than shotgun. So a real game changer in their world. Getting into a little bit more detail here, this is actually a customer in the industrial space, and they're actually driving scenarios to their salespeople. And we're trying to do that previously before we deploy the technology, and I'm getting some results. So let's take a typical sales playbook here. So they were targeting customers that were buying MRO products, but hadn't bought in the past 60 days. So the previous buyers that lapsed. We're now assuming a competitor's taken that business, and before they'd run that campaign themselves using their own BI tools and CRM tools. They were getting some results. They're getting $200,000 worth of monthly recovery on that particular playbook. Now we put AI guided selling into the business, and basically pretty much double that, because we were more accurate. We were spotting, being predictive. We were spotting changes of behavior much faster, and delivering much more accurate results. So again, it's just a real game changer in terms of the same playbook, but you add AI on top of it, the results are compounded and accelerated. So, so again, just some examples of how this can make a huge difference very quickly. This isn't like you put a new ERP system and you got to wait. It takes years, and then you got to wait for another 10 years for it to pay back. This can pay back out of the box. It is that powerful as a weapon. This is a customer that's been using Sugar and Sales Eye for some time. Again, North American customer in the office supply business. Again, just a more qualitative result here, just saying this is the best of both worlds. I think it was a phrase that Tim used earlier, and it's really taken their sales performance to the next level and given them the confidence to expand their business and to make acquisitions, knowing they can quickly ramp up an acquired company very quickly and very easily. So just some background stuff there. And I'm going to give you a very, very quick demo. We haven't really got time on this session to do a full deep dive, but I want to give you a couple of quick flavors how this might look in the real world. And if you're interested in a full personal session, then please reach out afterwards and we can give you a much deeper approach and also understand some of your particular challenges and show you how this technology may apply and help you. So this is a Sugar dashboard. So I could be a salesperson, just logged into Sugar, and I'm going to get my homepage, which is going to give me a view of my current pipeline, what's in my sales forecast, some account health, order trends. So I'm getting spoon-fed again by dashboards here, which again helping me understand my business. I might have to go and do a lot of analysis and look at data. I'm getting the highlights delivered to me just by logging in. And then I'm seeing up here some alerts. This is where the AI technology is looking at your data like a radar, and it's pinging alerts to the salesperson to make them predict issues or be ahead of things. So I've got some alerts here, and I've got some cross sells I'm missing. I've got customers who may be churning, they haven't placed any orders recently. I've got customers where there's gaps in their performance, where they're buying the bacon, not the eggs, just to change up the analogies that Tim was using earlier. So we've got customers that they're buying the one product and must be buying that somewhere else. So the salesperson's now got some target accounts to go after, and they haven't spent those 43 hours analyzing. They've just been given the answer straight to their eyeballs. So I might want to go and look at this customer that's not placed any orders recently, or customers on a cross sell. So I can now go to that customer and start to dig deeper. I can now start to analyze what's going on in this customer and start to prepare for this high value sales visit we talked about earlier. So I'm going to have all my usual call notes, previous meetings, tasks, all of my efficiency pieces down here. And now what I'm now seeing is this customer's behavior, their performance. So I'm saying, what are they buying from me? As Tim was saying earlier, so I'm seeing what they're buying by product range. How profitable are they? What are their current sales numbers? How are we trending compared to last year? Are we up? Are we down? What's their spend mix compared to other customers of the same type? We talked about segmenting customers very accurately. So this, we're looking at a customer here compared to their peer group, how they're performing. There may be a budget for the customer. I think I was talking to actually a big manufacturer yesterday who was saying one of their biggest issues right now is they agree a spend pattern with their distributors, and then they don't really monitor it. It's really hard to monitor it. Whereas again, technology can monitor it for you and tell you if something is drifting away or isn't at the same level you anticipated when you agreed the deal with them. So far we've got some quick heads up here, and we only made a couple of clicks. But now the biggest impact for the salesperson now is where we're now looking at the customer's buying patterns and we're pinging tripwires to the salesperson in plain English. So this appeals to that personality salesperson who isn't a data analyst, doesn't really see patterns in numbers, but they know how to sell to give them the nuggets. So again, I'm seeing here immediately the customers down on certain categories. We've got some downtrending going on. We've got a gap in the customer. They're buying product A but not product B. We're trying to switch them to our own brand products, and we've got a promo. We can see that they're buying power tools, aren't buying hand tools. So immediately I could walk in the door, that personality rep. Again, same sketch. How's the family? What are you doing for the weekend? Or did you see the game? And by the way, I've got a fantastic promo on hand tools right now. So straight away, I'm into a sales conversation. And one of my customers calls this the sales sandwich, which is bread and meat bread. So Did you see the game? The meat is, I've got a deal on hand tools, and then what we do for the weekend. So I'm having a sales conversation, always driven by data on every single call. Now, if I need more data, I can dig deeper. I can hit the go button here, and I can drill in and really start to be more forensic. If I'm the more forensic salesperson, I can now analyze this customer's performance by down to item code level, category, brand, and really start to dig in, analyze, drill into the data. Again, so I've only made 1 or 2 clicks, but if I'm more forensic, I can now drill down deeper into any level of detail I need to get to, again, without spending those 43 hours. So I'm now looking at the exact item codes I've lost in this customer and seeing what the margins are, profitability, number of units sold. So again, the salesperson can get to data very quickly and very easily. But I've been using a mouse there to do that. I've only made 1 or 2 clicks. So we now see the next generation of this now being driven, again, using AI, machine learning, natural language, to be driven by voice activation or with chatbots. So again, appealing to that lower tech individual or the new starter salesperson. You want to get them up to speed really quickly. They don't really know a lot about the business or their customers yet. It's how do we make it as simple as possible for those individuals. So you can see this little star here. This now allows me to do voice queries or chatbot queries of my ERP data. And it also likes my favorite ones. So if I was a manager, it might be who should I sack today? Or I've got my various different favorite ones, so I can just dictate a new query in here, or with the voice activation. So as a salesperson, I wanted to see who my best customers were or whatever. I could actually go in, start to look for those scenarios. It's going to go away and find a couple of fits for me, and machine learning allows me to educate the robot, so I can now feedback, hey, was that useful? This one looks like the best fit, and it's 81% chance this is the particular piece of data I need. It's going to go away and serve me with some graphical presentation. I've now got my top ranking of my best customers. I can now dig into them deeper, but again, I didn't need to touch a keyboard. So we're now seeing this as very much the potential CarPlay, Alexa experience for the outside rep, where I could be on the road and who should I see today? And then my caddy, in effect, tells me who I'm going to see today, what do I talk about, and tells me the customer stopped buying key products. I can ask it to forward the brochure to the customer, follow up, arrange a follow-up call, and it's going to do all the work for me. So again, technology can be genuine assistance. So if you're trying to scale a small sales team and make them act more powerfully, then this technology will definitely help. So what I'm going to now do is hand back now to Tim, who's going to talk about how long we got here, because this stuff's happening right now. There's a lot of things going on in manufacturing distribution that are definite headwinds that are challenging, and the markets are tough. So what do we do? Do we either do nothing, see how it goes, or what's everybody else doing? Again, there's always a concern. Okay, am I the last one left here? Am I missing out on something? So Tim, what are your thoughts on timing here?
Thanks, Kev. Well, some pretty cool stuff you just showed there, and some very relevant sort of slides previously, that's sort of calling out, as you referred to it quite correctly, the headwinds we're seeing today, and how technology can effectively become an enabler. So ultimately, organizations are realizing now that they do need to make a change. If they're going to, I really like your slide, by the way, about the different types of sales reps, and how guided selling can certainly sort of empower those sales reps. The sales reps have been at the business for many years. It just feel like they're going through the motions, but also the new ones. I think that's quite a pertinent approach, especially, as you said, due to the labour market challenges today. So I would sort of like just wrap up with sort of my three main takeaways from today's session, and then we can do a bit of a Q&A wrap up. Is that as you pointed out, customers are doing a lot more buying than ever offline, and so therefore, so every single moment, every interaction you have now, whether that's driven by your marketeers, by the marketing team, because they're able to get access to more refined data. I mean, Kev just showed you a whole plethora of reports and the data analysis that you have through Sales Eye embedded within Sugar, and then, you know, that's a dream to marketeers to be able to slice and dice it and then drive those campaigns. But, you know, whether it's through marketeers or you as a sales rep visiting your customer in person, you know, every single touch point must deliver value now. It now must be relevant for you to continue to engage with those customers. So that's where technology can certainly help. Certainly, as you said, manufacturing firms are facing these headwinds and are embracing change. So now the time is really to stick or twist. You know, do you want to invest? Do you want to create a differentiated experience, gain access to data that maybe your competitors don't have, and then sort of steal a charge on your competitors to get a bigger hug around your customers, or get left behind? It, you know, potentially is really that simple of a choice. And then the third point I've taken away from today's session is, you know, customers do have more choice than ever before, and therefore their behavior is a lot less predictable. And so, you know, year on year, historically, you may have got a rough guide on how much your customers will be spending with you, what they'll be buying, and could pretty much, you know, finger in the air and go with that for your forecasting. But that's no longer the case. So because their behavior is less predictable, you need to leverage that data for deeper intelligence, arm your sellers with tools that can make a difference, and therefore, you know, ultimately deliver more personalized, relevant, and informed customer experiences, to ensure that you do continue to reduce, you know, mitigate, reduce churn, but look after your customers, grow your customers. You know, customers are your greatest asset. Leverage technology, empower your salespeople and your account managers. That's what's going to make a difference. So, guys, look, you know, thank you very much for taking time out today to join us. You know, we'd welcome any questions, as Kev rightly called out. You know, we are here to help. We'd love to connect. We'd love to do some follow-up sessions, you know, understand where you are facing pain and challenges today, and where you want to get to as a business, and maybe there's areas that we can help you with. And hopefully today has been value, thought-provoking. So please do, you know, shout. If there's any immediate questions, we're delighted to answer them here. And if not, do some follow-up sessions.
Great stuff. Thanks, Tim. So, Tom, I know you've been monitoring the chat there. Are there any sort of questions that have popped up that we can take here?
There absolutely are. Yeah, gents, thank you very much for that. You know, I think it really does kind of play into this bottom line idea of, you know, CEOs, managers trying to get their, you know, wherever their members of staff may work, be it sales or elsewhere, to work smarter rather than harder. And seeing it in action there, Kevin, was fantastic. Seeing guided selling in that demo, I'm sure people enjoyed that. And yes, if you do have any questions, then do keep them coming in. There's been some pre-submitted ones already, so thank you for those that sent them in. Any others, do just stick them in the chat function or in the Q&A box, and we'll try and get them answered. We'll start with this first one. How exactly do you see generative AI transforming and enhancing the engineering sales process? Yeah,
so I'll take a start on first. Yeah, so I think first of all, yeah, I mean, we've been focused very much here on, you know, the sales arena, and that typically is an underinvested part of many businesses, particularly manufacturing distribution. I see some phenomenal technology in people's warehouses and on the shop floor, and then the sales guys are walking around with, you know, with pretty much nothing. You know, there's no real tech in the sales world. So I think what I'm predicting here is that you know, rather than go through the cycle of having to tool them up with traditional CRM tools and, you know, analytics tools and go through a life cycle here, those that are underinvested can jump straight now to, you know, current technology and leap, you know, 2 or 3 technology investments and get straight in here. And I think it's going to, you know, how will it transform the salesperson? I think it's going to address that, you know, burnt out salesperson issue we talked about earlier, and make selling fun again. Yeah, because selling has got tough, it's got horrible out there. You know, salespeople aren't welcome. They're now going to feel much more empowered. They're going to actually go in with a lot more confidence, knowing they've got the right information at the right time, seeing the right customers, adding value. So I think this could be very transformative for salespeople, and we'll potentially make selling attractive again as an industry. I was joking about the thought leader piece in young people, but I've been telling my customers, when you interview young people, show them the tech at the interview. Don't show them the the very, you might think it's very exciting, but the product that you manufacture, show them how cool they can use AI tech when they join our firm. So I think have some fun with it. Don't it's there to help, but also use it, to recruit, use it to actually energize your current sales team. If they see you investing in them, then that is, again, makes me feel wanted even by my employer, never mind my customers. Tim, any other thoughts on that one?
No, the only other thought, the thought I do have is to kind of flip it around not so much when you're necessarily interviewing, but I'm very much aware of examples where sales reps have heard of their competitors approaching them and telling them about all this great kit that they've got, and they'll arm them with all this technology, and they don't have it in-house. So actually investing in technology is not only going to sort of deliver more value for your employees, but actually can mitigate employee churn.
Good point.
So it's not just attracting, but it's also preventing churn as well. Investing in I think it was Richard Branson, pretty sure it was him, said, if we don't, he was asked the question, what happens if you invest in your employees and then once you trained them, tooled them up, they then leave? And I think his response was, well, what happens if we don't invest in them? So I think, that's a valid point.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's done all right in life, so I think
he's all right. So what else we got, Tom?
A question here asking, how do you get team members to adopt these new tools into their workflow?
The key number one thing is you've got to make it simple. I've seen a lot of bad projects where people, it's driven by IT often, and they're obviously already tech savvy. Now the sales team often isn't as tech savvy. It's just the way it is. But assumptions are made that it's got to be easy, but it may not be. So we would always argue that who is your lowest tech salesperson? You've got to actually accommodate them. No salesperson left behind. I see so many projects where they're designed for the smartest guy in the room rather than the guy who is low tech. So I think when you're delivering technology into your sales team, make sure if you got, and we always give them a name. So is it Bill? Okay, who's the guy that can barely turn on his car radio? That's Bill. Okay, let's make sure Bill can use it. And if Bill can't use it, we're failing. So I think that would be my number one piece of advice is start with your lowest tech individual, make sure they can use it, then everybody else is going to be fine. Now with this voice type applications or with the guided selling piece, we're delivering English to the salesperson. That makes it a lot simpler. So think simple. And the technology now is really clever behind the scenes. But as I mentioned earlier, it's about the guidance. How do we guide it to the seller? Information is very powerful, but if we don't get it to the salesperson in a format they can use, it's wasted.
I think the thing to add to that, we frequently sit down with organizations and explain to them, but whilst we may show a demo, I mean, we barely scratched the surface today, but there was a lot going on, but it was to sort of emphasize, the capabilities. Because you want to strip it back, like Kev said, keep it simple, don't overwhelm people. But secondly, as humans, we always like to know what's coming next. We always like to know, if you watch a box set or something, what's happening in the next series. You go on holiday, what next holiday are we going on? It's human nature to know what's coming next. So I think when you're implementing technology, have a roadmap in mind. Don't release everything from the word go, because there's not a lot else. Keep people interested, keep them excited, dangle the carrot. If you're not using it today, then we're not going to give you this cool stuff coming that is available next. So that is also something that we tend to sort of work with our customers that absolutely resonates, because ultimately, if you don't get adoption, you're not going to get the data. If you don't have the data, then everything we've spoken about today kind of becomes irrelevant.
There's a good question here, gents. Though it represents unlimited potential, are there any statistics yet on the level of acceptance by salespeople on guided selling?
Obviously early days. But we've actually been in the guided selling industry, for 15 years. So we've been actually using non-AI technology previously to actually still deliver guided selling. to our customers. So analysing the data, finding the who buys the bacon, not the eggs. So we've been doing that 15 years, and have already seen very high adoption, from salespeople to that, because it's making it easy for them. I mean, who wouldn't want that? It's if I've got any level of motivation as a salesperson, if someone's going to give me the nuggets, I can be more effective and I'm doing work. This would even appeal to I'm going to be controversial, to the lazy salesperson. I can be pretty lazy. This technology is going to help me. So I've been doing this for 15 years. Now, what we've really done is now put it on steroids by applying AI machine learning technology to that now, just to really amp it up to the next level and find stuff and actually be more predictive about the future as well. Like we've seen these patterns, behavior, even though this may not be obvious to a human, we know that if that event happens, there's a 71% chance that customer's going to churn if they stop buying this key component. Humans might not even spot that. So I think it's really, technology is well proven, Tom, to your question. It already works. People are already adopting it. It's now really at another level now. And some of the results I showed you before and after, you can run a campaign today. It's going to be effective. It'll be doubly effective if you use AI machine learning on it. So,
okay. Yeah, Tim, anything further to add to that?
No, nothing further to add to that one. I do have a question myself though for Kev. It's just sort of sprung to mind.
Better not be a curveball one, Tim. But go on.
No, it's just like you showed earlier. Who should I sack today? I just wondered if you actually had any names behind that.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Actually, I ran that one. Actually, funny enough, I did a demo last week with a customer, and we put that one in just as a joke. And actually, the VP of Sales said, "Can you click on that one?" I said, "Well, I'd rather not, because you've got room of sales guys here." So he was going, "Oh, no." Yeah, but yeah, that one's there just to I guess be provocative, but it's a sales leader could equally use this now when they're looking at. Let's be more positive. It's who needs some coaching? Who in my team needs coaching?
Nicely done.
So so it could be, I've got a small sales team. How do I get them to the next level? Who needs help? Who's struggling? Who can I support better? And again, AI can be the sales leader's caddy as well as helping salespeople.
A question here that asks, beyond regular AI, how do you anticipate generative AI will transform the industry? Yeah,
Tim, you got any? I'll let you take that one first.
Yeah, well, it's quite a bit around sort of predictive, but generative AI is what we're seeing is serving up information to end users, packaging it up in a more digestible, consumable mantra. And for example, with Sugar, if you get handed a new account, again, we talk back to sort of like maybe sort of fairly frequent turnover. You're a new sales rep, you join a new manufacturing firm, you get handed CRM, you get handed a bunch of accounts, and you have no background. Normally that could take days of research to go and sift through all the conversations, to sift through what external information is available. But generative AI will consolidate all that and package it up into a very sort of simple overview, all the key information that's needed. So immediately you've got a good understanding of who the customer is, and that's leveraging data within the CRM. That's the historic stuff that I was talking about earlier, that Sugar, what previous conversations have happened, but also what's happening externally, and of course, what is this customer ordering, and again, sort of maybe for marketeers, it could be guiding marketeers on the type of campaigns they should be running. And again, if that's being driven by the data that's being pulled in by sort of sales eye and this sort of guided selling, then that already that's relieving a lot of the pressure on the marketeers to actually draft campaigns relevant for particular customers that, as Kev said, bought the eggs but may not have bought the bacon. So generative AI, I think, is definitely going to take customer experience to the next level. But I did hear a couple of comments at a conference I went to at late back end of last year, basically with AI, generative AI in particular, is that two things need to be in place. Your customers need to be ready for AI. For AI to work, your customers need to be ready for AI, and the technology you're using needs to be providing the AI that's relevant to your business and your use case. And they're two sort of key fundamentals. And I think, as Kev has rightly called out, AI is fantastic when applied in the correct manner and with the right strategy, but too many people are just getting swept away with AI this and AI that. So hopefully today, what we've shared with you is just focusing in on sort of core use cases that actually do deliver value for what we believe to be the audience today, which is those sales folk and manufacturing and distribution.
Yeah, thanks. The only thing I'd add to that really is just putting our sales hats on here. Be aware that myself and Tim, we sell sales technology. There's a whole bunch of other guys in our industry that sell buyer technology, and they're actually launching AI stuff to help buyers, to actually get the best deal, to actually get the best discounts. Again, buy more effectively. So again, if you're going to market against a buyer that's actually got this advanced technology and you haven't got it, you're at a huge disadvantage. I think as Tim had on the backing up a slide here, how long we got. I mean, this is Gartner's prediction that 75% of B2B sales organizations by 2025. We're already in February 2024 here, so we've got 10 months, to make sure we're in the top 75%. We're not laggards. So just be conscious that smart buyers are already tooling up, and we may not be ready as salespeople. So I'd definitely say get on the bus quickly, and don't worry too much about all the fancy stuff that's coming down the pipe. This will just get better and better and easier. But don't sit back and wait. Get on board would be my number one piece of advice.
Probably look to wrap this up within the next kind of 5 or 6 minutes, gents. So I'll ask for 2 very quick answers to these next 2 questions, and then a final question that I think is quite an interesting one that's come into the chat. This one here asks, they say rightly that people buy from people, which seems to be the norm in a highly technical and complex sale. Will AI be able to interact with AI at this level? It's an interesting question.
Pretty interesting. Yeah. I definitely. I've heard the death of the salesperson being predicted for many years now, because I've been in the game for over 40 years, and the B2B salesperson was always under some threat. But I think I still like to believe, perhaps I'm being sentimental here, that companies don't buy from each other. People still buy from people. And I might, if I'm a buyer, put a buyer hat on. Okay, I might be acting more like I do at home, more like a consumer, where I actually do more research myself. I don't necessarily want to go, to talk to a salesperson until I'm ready. But when I'm ready, I will. I'll perhaps if I'm buying a car, I'll research it pretty thoroughly. But then I'll go when I want to do a test drive. I want to actually, have some advice, some consulting. So I think humans have to have a role, but they've got to, as we said, I think earlier, got to be adding real value. So I don't think we're going to see robot. There's already some of that happening. It's been happening for the past even 10, 15 years with marketplaces, and a lot of industrial bids are now all electronic. There's no necessarily human interaction. It drives to cynical pricing, all that sort of stuff. But I still think, and I hope I'm right, that humans will want to interact, and we're seeing actually in the retail area, which is going to consumer level, a resurgence certainly of small independent retailers, because people still like that shopping experience. They still want to go in, touch the product, speak to somebody with authority, get some advice. So I think I'm hopeful that science fiction doesn't take over here. That but as long as the human's valuable, they've got to stay valuable, and they've got to evolve. They can't stay where they are. I think that would be my number one piece. So sorry for the longer answer there. That was going to be a very short answer, Tom. But
no, that's fine. I'll bring Tim on that point in just a moment if we do have time. But I'll just ask this question: do you think the introduction of AI within the sales process also slows it down? How can AI be used to speed up the sales process?
I think if I jump in on that one, I think we've seen today, because without some of the guided selling capabilities and technologies and examples that Kev sort of walked you through, as a sales rep, you're probably you need to go off and research. You asked earlier about generative AI, and again, I gave an example. You've got to go off and research before you go and speak to a customer. So if AI is arming you with that information and actually doing all the heavy lifting and the slicing and dicing and presenting that data to you, then suddenly, you know, like Kev said, rather than dancing around talking about the game last night, how's the family, what's your handicap, etc., you know, and trying to sort of eke out or tease out of that person, you know, you're seeing that customer, you're seeing what, you know, why they're not been buying from you, or what are their interests right now. Yeah, AI has already armed you with that, so you can actually lead the conversation with the information that AI is giving you. So personally, no, I think if it's used correctly, it's massively going to not only speed up the sales process, but it's certainly going to make that process more relevant and personalized.
Yeah, and I think for big ticket items as well, where, you know, there may have been some sort of, you know, RFP bid process or whatever, those are going to get faster because, you know, the buyer's got technology, the seller's got technology. We can get to data, we get to answers, we can, you know, spin up proposals, we can process quotes much faster. So I can't see how it slows it down. You know, I think it's definitely going to, you know, potentially speed it up, but we definitely think you still need a human in the loop. Yeah, it's people will still buy from people.
That's the very final question that's in the chat. Then is that, you know, I mean, look, we always talk about tech being there to augment people, you know, in every case within manufacturing. But, you know, do you think AI will ever get to a point where it will just completely remove the salesperson?
Yeah, I certainly think, well, yeah, hopefully not within my lifetime, but yeah, potentially in the future. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be certain products that will, yeah, potentially could be bought, you know, without engaging a salesperson. But I think the salesperson's got to work hard now to become relevant. I saw an ad the other day. I can't remember even what product was for. It was I think it was saying that the punchline was, AI will take my job, and then the second punchline was, which came up second, was to the next level. So AI will take my job to the next level, and I think that's the way we've got to think about it. You know, it isn't a threat to us. It's actually a tool, and I think the most successful people will be those that actually know how to use the tool, to actually exploit the tool and master the tool, rather than actually become a victim to it. Yeah, so I think, I would definitely say to the next generation of sellers, embrace this stuff, get good at it, make it your asset, make it your killer move, that you're great with this stuff, you know how to use it, you know how to leverage it. Yeah, so, but yeah, at some point, yeah, who knows? But again, as I mentioned earlier, I've heard the death of the salesperson many times, you know, over the past 40 years. But
yeah, final word from you, Tim, very quickly.
Yeah, I think just to echo everything that Kev said there, ultimately AI in sales will become the norm, and when that becomes the norm, as we've seen with the Gartner sort of statistics about 2025, is up to sort of manufacturers and how they decide to sort of invest their budget. But the sooner they do it, the sooner I think that, you know, the sales reps will get used to it, and the sooner that will become a differentiator on how best to look after their customers.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point. That's a great point, because actually I remember we launched in 2008 a mobile app, and at the time most salespeople had flip phones, and this was our first smartphone. And the iPhone didn't come out until 2010, I think. So this was on some old clunky HTC Titan smartphone. People were going, "What are you doing that for? Sales reps don't have smartphones. You know, they're going to have flip phones." So, yeah, is that true today? Of course not. As Tim said, yeah, this looks like it's new technology, but it soon becomes the norm. Yeah, so we've seen how fast, you know, this is moving to the marketing area. This will move just as quickly into the sales area. So if you haven't got this stuff, it's going to be like your sales guys are on a flip phone pretty soon. Yeah. So don't hang around.
Well, it seems like a good place to end it, because we are running over slightly, but let's finish things off there. Thank you very much to everyone in the audience for your questions. Any questions that you feel like you weren't able to put to our speakers today, then I'm sure they'll be happy to continue the conversation with you at another time. Remember, for all the latest industry news and trends and thought leadership and maybe some similar stuff that we've touched on today, then do go and visit themanufacturer.com. You can read all the latest news, articles. You can listen to some of our podcast episodes as well. Kevin and Tim, when sessions overrun, it normally tends to be because the speakers have so much interesting stuff to say. So thank you so much for your time today. A really fantastic session, and I hope everyone on the call enjoyed it. I hope to see you back for the next webinar, but until then, goodbye and take care.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks all. Cheers. Bye-bye.
I'm the Deputy Editor of the Manufacturer magazine, and today you're joining us for a webinar delivering a major digital transformation project, a case study by Montagne Genaise. Today's webinar is brought to you by Sage Business Partners CPIO, and we'll be joined by Nareen Ganesh, Finance Director of Montagne Genaise International, and Andrew Watkinson, MD of CPIO. What we'll be talking about during this is how Montagne Genaise implemented a major digital transformation project during last year's pandemic. So some of the key things we'll be looking at is having a project plan and finding the right people to lead that project.